Hey everybody, this is Pete Wenzel and today I'm going to show you how to better blending foreground and background together using depth of field and mist. The creation of the background will not be part of this video, so if you're interested in this topic, check out my linked video. To get some feeling for the distance of a scene, we need two things. First is depth of field, which means that our camera will have only one distance which is in focus and the other part of the scene will be a little bit blurred. The amount of blur is depending on the camera's aperture and the distance to the focal point. And second is haze, which means that the objects will get a little bit color tinted depending on the distance to the camera. Usually this mist is white or slight blue or orange. In the real world, this is caused by water and dust. To be honest, haze is typically not a big issue for indoor brick filming, but it will make the scene look pretty cool. If you have indoor mist, you may consider stop smoking or your house is currently burning. Starting with the depth of field. Select the camera and in Camera tab on the viewport display we check limits. Check depth of field too and expand the options. Now we see the line of sight and the little cross marks the focal point of the camera. There are two opportunities to adjust this. On the first hand, we could define an object which should always be in focus. This is pretty handy if your object or camera is moving, but it should stay focused. And on the other hand, we can use the distance to move the cross to have the right focus point defined. If you have depth of field enabled, then you will see it in camera view, in look depth or rendered viewport shading. To define the aperture of the virtual camera, we open the settings. The lower the f-stop value, the more of the scene will be out of focus and vice versa. The amount of blades will affect the shape of the blurred pixels. 0 will result in a perfect circle, while values over 3 will result in objects with this amount of corners. Rotation value will define the orientation of the blurred pixels, which is a little bit pointless unless you're using a blade value of at least 3, because a circle will always look the same no matter how much it is rotated around its center. Last but not least, the ratio will define if x and y dimensions of the blurred pixel will be the same or different. In most cases you could ignore everything then f-stop. But in particular cases, these options could be used for fine-tuning, and that's the reason why I have just mentioned them. In my opinion, it is more important to select a realistic f-stop value in combination with the chosen focal length than defining blades or their rotation. For your first render, the default value of 2.8 could be a good starting point. Especially when combining real photographed footage with CGI, your depth of field should be matching. If you like this video, share it with your friends, give me a thumb up and feel free to ask further questions in the comments below. If you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Now continue with the mist. The mist will be done in the Compositor, but to be able to do this, we have to change several settings before rendering. In Camera tab, we need to enable mist in the viewport options. In View Layer tab, we enable mist as a rendering result before we could continue with the next setting. In World tab, we define the mist range using start and depth. The mist render path is a grayscale image with information of the distance to the camera. The start and depth values define the range, which will be color-coded. Everything which is in front of this range or further away will be clipped. Now we have to give it a try and press F12 for rendering. In Compositor we add a viewer node with Shift A output Viewer node. Connect the image to the Viewer node and open the menu by pressing N. Check Backdrop to see what we are going to do and select Fit for automatic zoom and offset definition. Control and hold the right mouse will create a knife to disconnect node links. Shift and hold right mouse will create a branch. Shift, Control and left mouse click connects everything you're clicking on directly to the Viewer node. Now have a look on the mist path only. It looks to me like we should screen it in front of our image. Therefore, add a color mixed node. Set it to screen and connect the image path and the mist path to it. First, we should reduce the factor to a very low value. 0.1 or even less works best for me in this case. With a color ramp between mist path and mixed node, we could tint and even adjust the intensity. Bring up the original image via Ctrl-Shift left mouse click and use the eyedropper to select the bright yellow-orange tone from the sky. For better blending, I move the upper color stub to the black one and even reduce the factor of the mixed node. With depth of field and the mist, it's now starting to look realistic. And that would be the end of this tutorial. In the next video, I will show you how to create a nice and simple camera movement using parent objects and constraints. Now you have reached the end of this video. But this doesn't mean you have to talk to real people. You may be interested in my new video over there. Or you could watch this recommended video. And as a last opportunity, there are many more videos for you at my channel.